It's a short week as we begin our preparation with Miami, and even a little more unusual this week than most due to how the nature of our season is going to open up this year. So glad to open up to your guys' discussions and fill you in on our preparation.
Well, Coach, the kicker move was did Matt suffer setback?
No, this was something that we had planned,
Okay.
for a week or two, and so we thought this would be a chance to get a look at him. He did an excellent job in the workout with us a few weeks ago, so we wanted to get a chance to see in the game. So it was good to see Matt kick. He won't kick on this Thursday, so we thought it'd be the perfect out for Giorgio to come in.
To be clear, this was something you planned for the fourth preseason game?
It was.
You want to take advantage?
After the workout,
Okay.
we thought, okay, it's definitely worth taking a look. We still, wanted to see Dave and see him compete, but we thought this would be kind of the best window for us to take a look.
You've dealt with this before as a coach in Seattle with that short week right after roster cuts. Is it challenging because of the condensed week? Is it something you feel like is a disadvantage or an opportunity because you're that first game?
Yeah, I think it's more of an opportunity, and the reason I say that is just we have a real process that we go through to get ready, and it allows us to stay really connected and committed to that process. So for us, it just starts earlier, than for other teams, but the process will remain the same. And then as far as roster decisions, there's still some things to work out here even on Thursday night. So there'll be some who are competing to be practice squad and developmental, and some still battling to make for the 53. It might be spot 51, 52, 53, and then the goal is also, if it's not here, it's somewhere.
Yeah.
And so those guys can put out tape so they have those opportunities. That's kind of the goal for me as a coach.
Coach, when you went back and looked at the game and looked at the tape, I know Matt said he wasn't really concerned about the offensive issues or whatever like that. What did you go back and see? What bothered you? What did you like coming out of the first team offense?
Just from the first team? Well, let's start with what I liked. I thought in the run game, there's certainly over the last couple of weeks, I think Tevin, has certainly made some strides and some progress. I feel like, comfortable with where he's at, not just from practice, but in the preseason games. Wasn't happy with third down, and our inability to convert on some of those. I think that was probably, two of the issues, the good and bad, coming through the game. So I'm comfortable where the guys are at, but like most games, there's things that I'm happy about and things that I know need a lot of work still. So we've put a heck of a lot of time on, and you notice from being in practice every day, into the red zone work, and so that part, I'm pleased with the progress we've made. It hasn't always shown up in these preseason games, but that part I am, happy with.
Matt said something about, of course, going to preseason, you're not game planning like you would for a regular season game. He said you weren't expecting that overload on that, on that play that they had. But is it good to see something like that as you get ready to face probably an Eagles team?
Yeah, you still have to trust your rules. And so, like in most protections and most plays, there are some rules that are built in. But those are like ones that, coming through and playing in preseason games, like, people do try out new things. So we call those unscouted looks, some things that maybe they didn't have the year before. And I think, we probably had a few of those as well, for teams, put on tape and try it and see where you're at with it. Sometimes you may have a concept or a play that you want to take a look at, and then you run it and you're like, okay, let's put that one back on the shelf. And then there's some other ones that you like and say, all right, I want to keep trying this. I want to keep practicing this. And it may not come up for a while, but having a chance to utilize those, I'm not, referencing Jacksonville on that particular play, but sometimes you want to see some things in a game, even though you may not or may like it. It's just more a little bit of some explore time. But past that, what I did like, was the ball security, and that part felt really clean and strong and what we liked. So I thought the connection with Mo early on, I liked that. Our run game and play pass has certainly made strides that I'm happy with, but we could probably hang out for a long time and talk about the things that I think we still need a lot of work out. So that's, me and for the guys, offensively, defensively, teams. But in training camp, you're trying to identify some roles for players, and I think the team has done a good job of that. And certainly guys have done a good job of that, saying, I want a shot at this, I want to look at that. And that's kind of when those times happen.
And I apologize, one more on that subject. With Calvin, you talked about his kind of veteran presence already, coming in here and stuff like that. Do you pull a guy to the side when he has those drops, or you say, hey, you know what, he kind of ahead of the curve already, I know he'll handle that?
No, that's, when there's something out there, that's part of tell the truth. And so that's, kind of nobody escapes that, like that's part of the process that we go through to say, hey man, we expect you to own that moment. And so it wasn't just him. There was other people that have that. I'm sure he doesn't like having that play in front of the rest of his teammates in a team meeting, just like Matt doesn't on a play or anyone else. But I think to be a true team, you have to show all the examples. The ones that he really lights him up good, and the ones that he had a drop. And so it's probably his first taste of last week. He was on his way to becoming the next Pro Bowl rookie receiver, and then he had a drop, and so Long brings that up. Welcome to the NFL. And but he's a really detailed and really prideful guy, and I'm sure you guys have noticed too the way he practices.
Mm-hmm.
There's an intensity about him that he brings that's past maybe the age of him, and so I really respect that part of his game. So. As mistakes happen, which they're gonna, I generally like to see how a guy rebounds.
Coach, after the game, I asked Matt. Sark's talked a lot about how he's night and day, feels more comfortable from year 1 to year 2. But from Matt's perspective, I was asking, has there been a specific play or something that's happened in a game or in practice that you could tell us about that where you saw the comfort level that's increased between those two?
Did he have an example for you?
He said it's mostly during
Yeah.
that one, but he said it's mostly been in practice where Sark will make a call and it's the exact call that Matt was thinking that he should make, and they were on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's generally when those situations come up at the end. It's been fun for me this year during training camp and the 2-minute drills to talk about the situation. So I've probably been as close, with the quarterbacks and Sark in those situations than I have over the first 3 years, and so that's been a big difference for me too. So I'd say I have also seen that firsthand. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It might be a way, or as the play starts, Matt can finish it. Like Sark may start it, and then he knows where he's going, and he can kind of take it from there.
What you see first team defense? Tell us about it.
Well, on the first play, I was happy to see where Alford, got his hands on a play where it tipped, and Neal had a shot at that one. The things that we liked, I think they put a lot of work down in the red zone, over the preseason and the OTAs, and I think over the first 3 weeks, we've seen some things with that. What I didn't like in this game, I thought there was too many leaky yards, on some of the runs. They had a long touchdown run, so those 2 explosive runs were uncomfortable for those guys.
How much of your time right now is, just generally as a head coach at this point, going to the fourth week, where you is on the roster? Most of what you're doing is the roster, or kind of how you divide your time?
Right. I would say during the day, it's mostly devoted towards the team. And then as I get into the evenings, those are some spots, with the roster that we looked at to see how would we possibly want to add a player, whether it's to the 53 or to the practice squad if they were not here. We've got a pretty good assessment of where the guys are from here on our team. And those are from practice and from the games. But it's always, now we take a look at, on other players as well.
Jonathan Celestin, you talked about him before, but it looked like he got in the opening return unit, a field goal unit, came in early in the third quarter. How has he grown to where you wanted to see him in those moments a lot more?
Early on, what we saw at practice from him was a really good and square tackler. And at linebacker, that's really important. And so now we're trying to see those moments. Can he extend the plays, on the fourth down plays or the punts and kickoffs where there's most every play is 30, 40 down the field. So that's where we're taking our deep look at him, over the last couple of weeks.
And another guy was Justin Zimmer, who he got 1.5 sacks coming out of this last game. What's been his development? What have you seen from him as an undrafted guy?
Number one is the work ethic that really stands him apart. Like sometimes there's guys here and just about everybody's going for it, but then there's other players that are really trying to push it, take it to a new spot, to a new level. And he certainly has been one that's jumped out to us. I think he's got real versatility, that he plays a couple of different spots inside, but he's definitely somebody that's caught our attention so far, and he's making progress as we go.
Coach, with the new rule this year where you didn't have to do the 75 cut down, how good is that for you and the staff and the players who get to get an extra look at here on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's a big addition, and but I think we started that last year, maybe on trial, and then went into full-time effect this year. It gives you more evaluations, and I think from a player standpoint, it's valuable also because not only just evaluations for us, but evaluations for guys from around the league, and so I'm hopeful that because of that rule, we're able to extend, more rookie players to say, okay, here's 70, 80 plays in a preseason that you get to evaluate a player as opposed to, 30 or 40. And so I think that's a big step in the right direction, and I'm sure that, the other coaches will feel the same way.
Coach, you have like a high number of rookies on this roster right now, 30, right? Or close to that number?
Yeah, I think it's around that number.
That's as many or is close to the league in
Yeah, it's the
leading
top,
as far
yes.
as at the top. Has it been harder to evaluate all these guys? Have you been able to? Because you were really high on this rookie class.
Yes.
And you've had a number of guys like that he just mentioned too that have kind of come up and surfaced and played well.
I think it's our job to make sure we take, and the guys know this, take every guy as far as we can and try to find all the different unique things that they have. That said, it still comes down to, the effort and strain and hustle that they're ready to put forth. But what I can say is that we're going to make sure we give them the chances. And part of playing guys in these preseason games is that's the best, place to evaluate someone who has had no experience.
Yeah.
For the player that's had, 5, 6, 7, 8, in some cases 10 years of playing, the preseason games are important for their timing, but it's not the same in terms of like the experience that the young players need in the NFL. So we're really committed to seeing those guys through and taking not just a look, but like an extended look and finding out who can, and the hard part is also find out who can't. But that's part of the evaluation too.
So you like having 4 games still? There's a lot of talk. Some people are saying, hey, there should only be 2 games in preseason.
Yeah.
You like having 4?
Yeah, I do. And the reason is because we do get all these evaluations on the players. So I think that part, it's fun for us because we get a chance to see them in action, and you kind of get a chance to see where they're at, how much progress they've made from the first week into this one. Because most everybody knows this is a real extended play time, almost like for some of them they'll play all 4 quarters. And so what better opportunity than this to show not only do you belong, but I can thrive in this.
You guys,